This is Katie Whitbeck from the UT-TSU Extension Office here in Lawrence County. Today is going to be the first video in a series that I do throughout the year where I post every 2 to 3 weeks following along with the Tennessee Home Fruit and Vegetable Calendar for 2025. This calendar is an excellent resource that really is intended to help home gardeners be able to keep up with their garden and make it the best that it can be. Unfortunately, we have a very limited supply of these calendars in hard copy at our office, but there is a PDF version that I will be including in the description so that way you can download it or look at it online and follow along throughout the year. There is a lot of information in this calendar, and so I will not be able to cover it very much of what it actually has in it. The point of these videos is just to elaborate on or demonstrate some of the more complicated issues that are discussed in this calendar. If you like these videos, please like us, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever it is that you prefer to watch videos on. That really helps us know that we are making an impact. It also allows you to be able to interact with us. You can ask questions in the comments, or you can contact our office. I'll include all the contact information for us in the description as well.
Alright, so for today's video we're going to be discussing crop rotation because right now it's too cold to really go outside and do anything. So one of the best things that we can do is just plan so that when it does warm back up, we can head right out into the garden and get things done. So why is it that we should rotate crops and what makes it important? One thing that a lot of people either don't realize or kind of tend to overlook is that many of the plants that we grow within our vegetable gardens are actually related to each other. And so if you are planting either the same plant every year or plants from the same family in the same spot every year, that is going to create an opportunity for pests and diseases to infect your plants because they can overwinter in either the soil or a leaf litter, and then they come back up in the exact same spot that you have planted a plant that is susceptible to them in. And they also use up the same soil nutrients every year. So related plants are going to use similar nutrients, and then that's going to kind of deplete specific nutrients in your soil, and that's going to, over the course of time, lead to a weakened plant because it can't get what it needs to survive. So what are these plant families and kind of how do you identify them? So the first plant family that we have is going to be the Solanaceae family or nightshades. This is going to be your tomatoes, potatoes, peppers, and eggplants. It's also going to be weeds. One example of a weed that is in the nightshade family is the ground cherry. So this is a great reason for why you need to be pulling the weeds in your garden and staying on top of that, because some of the weeds can actually be related to the plants that you're trying to grow. And if you don't maintain that, then they may end up accidentally attracting either pests or diseases and helping with disease spread throughout your garden. Our next plant family is the brassicas or the mustard family. So obviously that's going to include your mustard greens. It's also going to have broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, and radishes within that family. With the mustard family, they have a very thick and kind of waxy leaf, so that helps to identify them. And then if you allow them to flower out, they're also going to have small yellow flowers to them. Next is the gourd family or the cucurbits. This is going to be your cucumbers, squash, melons, pumpkins, and gourds. So with these plants, it's going to be extremely important to remember when you plant them that not only do you have to rotate on a rotation schedule, but you also need to plan for the amount of space that they're going to take up, because if you plant in the ground and do not trellis or give them something to climb up, they are going to spread and potentially choke out plants that they come close enough to. And so it's important to make sure that they have enough space when you're planning out your garden. Then you have the Fabaceae or legume family. This is going to be your beans and peas in the garden. And it's also going to be potential cover crops such as clover and alfalfa. So when you're planning your crop rotation schedule, don't forget that if you're going to do cover crops in the winter time, You also have to consider what plants are in the mixes and what they are related to in your vegetable garden. So now that we've covered why we need to do a crop rotation and some of the main plant families within the garden, well, let's go over how to create a rotation schedule. So the main thing to remember when you're planning a rotation schedule is that you want to have a minimum of 3 years in between planting any plant that is within a family. 3 years is the minimum. If you can go either 4 years or 5 years, that's even better. But within a small garden, sometimes that's difficult. So if you can just manage to get 3 years in between, then that is a great start to where you will be able to improve your plant health as well as your soil health. So let's kind of look at this example here just to make sure it makes a little bit of sense. So we're going to look at row 1, year 1, where we have tomatoes here. Tomatoes, if you remember from a few slides back, are from the Solanaceae or nightshade family. So with the tomatoes here, we want to try and get through years 2, 3, and 4 without repeating either tomatoes or any other related plant from the nightshade family. So we are going to look at year 2 here. U2, we have cucumber. Cucumber is part of the gourd family, so that's a safe plant to use because it's not related to tomatoes. Year 3, we have broccoli. Again, broccoli is not related to tomatoes. It's also not related to cucumber because after you plant something, you have to make sure that you're not repeating it at all. So now you need to make sure you're also not repeating anything in the gourd family for 3 years. And then finally we have peas. And peas are not related to tomatoes, cucumbers, or broccoli because they are part of the legume family. And so finally, now that you've had those 3 years in between, if you go down and have year 5, at that point you can again repeat either tomatoes or anything else in the nightshade family. If you have any questions related to this video or just anything garden related in general, please reach out. I have our office number posted here as well as my email address. I'll post them in the description as well. And then you can also get in touch with us on Facebook and Instagram. You can find us at UT-TSU Extension /Lawrence County. If you want more information on crop rotation and plant families, these are 2 great sources to start with. I used them when I was creating this video. They have some much more extensive lists on the different plant families and what plants belong in each family. They also have some great recommendations on how to build your own crop rotation schedule with your different garden setups. So they have some raised bed garden examples and some other things on there.